Hi. I know I've been absent from uploading videos for a few days. Um, uh, I don't know. I guess we'd all like to share when everything's going great and we're chipper and we don't feel kind of topsy-turvy. And so I'm getting over that. It is what it is. I am what I am. And when you're in 3D, things are variable. That's just the way of it. We've been under a constant solar, I don't know if you'd call it a solar storm, but a solar wind for quite a while. It's been consistent. Plus, we've had a number of CMEs, coronal mass ejections, so that would send like flashes of intense solar radiation. And at this point, that's something I've been wavering on, but at this point, I'm just confident that what's going on with the sun and its interaction with us and the earth is directly working on upgrading our DNA, upgrading our biology, so that we come out on the other end as human 2.0. I've been doing some work to visualize my DNA as three-stranded. And if you'll draw that out or take a look at it, you've got a central dot, and then from that dot you've got three rays that go out. Now that's as if you're looking at the DNA strand from the top, looking down, like instead of a ladder, the twisted ladder of the double helix. Now you've got like three, well, if you put sides on all of it, you'd have a tetrahedron, which is a three-sided pyramid. And so that will be the new geometry of our crystalline biology. Did you know, by the way, even now, without any changes to our biology, under very high magnification, our blood is crystalline? I don't know if it takes an electron microscope or what. I'm not real knowledgeable on the science end of things in this life. But it is crystalline even now. And remembering, of course, that the atom is all but not there. It's empty. 99+% emptiness is what goes to form the atom. So, and add that. Let's just stack it up. On top of that, let's take simultaneous time. So when somebody asks you, what's your sun sign? Well, you've got them all several times over from all of those lifetimes. You've got all of that to call on, and it's not like any of it was in the past or any of it will be in the future. It's all just now. And the 3D brain, mind, I don't know that it can wrap itself around that, but it doesn't matter because you're multidimensional. I'm multidimensional. That's what we are. And the time to start claiming it is now. Things are hard enough as it is, and it comforts me claiming what I see as the new reality. And it's, you know, it's kind of tough for some who aren't having this vision, who aren't seeing ahead, and who are thinking it's just pointless suffering, endless pointless suffering. And that is a legitimate perspective that people can take. It's just not something that's useful right now. We as the light beings are the ones that are actually helping to anchor and bring in the new. And so we fill ourselves with that, and we make an adequate anchor so that that light can flow from the heart of cosmos, from the heart of the galaxy, from the heart of our own higher self and source into, through, and around us to anchor the light and help support our brothers and sisters that are here with us. So, you're all of those sun signs. Besides which, if you're interested in your astrology, I know that in a number of my journals lately, I've given you a link over to stariq.com. Now, they're certainly not the only place. They're just simple, and they don't spam you, and they're just who I use. There are, I'm sure, many places. The thing is, you want to go after what I would call evolutionary astrology, not psychic type astrology, fortune telling type thing. There are good uses and bad uses of everything, absolutely everything. You know, give someone a human body for a lifetime. They'll make good uses of it and they'll make bad uses of it. So it's on us to discern and to select from among those who will support us, because we're getting our wings, figuratively speaking. We're raising up in consciousness, in biology, in every way. And it's good to have a support structure around us and not to keep dipping our toes into things that pull us down or into things that will be an energy drain, because we might be the one with the most light in this or that group, and so it would be a net loss to us. I mean, bottom line is always, always, and always go with where your heart leads. You might need to go where you're the one with the most light if your heart calls you there. I mean, that's the only sane thing to do, is follow your heart, because we can't, with the brain and the mind, figure out 3D and the divine plan and what we're supposed to be doing any one day, much less, you know, for the totality of it. And so I give it over to heart. Heart does a really great job. And the more we trust and rely on that, the more our intuition develops and has a chance to flourish. Now, even though my videos haven't been up, I am in support of you. I stand in support of you. I'm only as close as your heart. I'm always there. We are one, and we can call on one another in the privacy of our inner kingdom. We can call for support. We can call for guidance. Of course, we all have our own higher self, which is source, which is, it doesn't get any better than that. But it's nice, it's fun to have a face on it too. And to have somebody that you can sit and have an actual conversation with. You know, texting might not be the greatest thing in the world, but at least you know the words that somebody's saying. It's a little iffy while we are learning our communication abilities on the higher dimensions. But you are multidimensional. Own it, claim it, live in it, bathe your consciousness in it. Accept fully that you are a multidimensional being. You already exist on 5D. If there's this thing called ascension, it's already been done, because all time is now. And it's an intriguing and an interesting thing that here in 3D, even though all time is now and all space is here, we get to watch things play out and not really have full access to all of our knowing. Well, accept it. Let's not fight it so much anymore. Ponder this. There's a lot of us, and I went through probably many lifetimes with a chip on my shoulder, not being happy at being cut off from the highest dimensions, the higher dimensions where I was used to being. And I didn't like it. I was angry. And in this lifetime, I didn't even know that or perceive it or see it at all until I was like, 50 years old. Some of us are a little slow. And so I wanted out. I didn't want to be here. I think a lot of us, it's because we have children that we don't just take our own life and be done with it. And maybe it's planned that way. Thank God I was able, or life helped put things together before me in such a way that I realized that that was just a story. I was telling myself, all of it, every bit of it, it was just stories. And it was my choosing to believe them that had my tail tied up in knots that way. I was the creator of my own suffering without knowing it. And I was angry at God over the whole thing, you know? And so we all have our own story that goes something like that, you know, where we're believing in stories. Now, here's the thing. If you look at it, if you just be still, get in heart, be still, and just look at it, what do you really want? What is it that you really want? And does it matter where that is? What we really want, the way all I can do is speak for me. What I really want is the conditions of the golden age. What I really want is where love is the theme and the tone and the attitude of all interactions between all beings. Where there's love and there's support and there's joy. I want full access to divine knowledge, to universal knowledge. I don't want to be cut off, and I don't want to live in a realm where I have to defend myself in any way where there is evil afoot. Okay, I don't care where that is. It doesn't matter. It's just that that's what I want. So the reality is, it's not that I want out of here. I just want that. So here's my suggestion, folks. Let's manifest that here. The planet is raising up anyway. It appears that Gaia has made her decision. I know there's some people that are going to think that's a little too freaky. I'm not sure how to put it in scientific words, although I don't believe in miracles. I believe that anything that seems strange is just a matter of a higher physics that we haven't yet discovered. So I do have a love for the scientific way of things. It just has to go along side by side with the philosophy and the consciousness way of things. Those two can't be parted. Or you get the kind of science that was being practiced during the Holocaust and the experimentation that's done on prisoners and those kind of things. That's science without soul. And it's unacceptable. It's absolutely raving insane. Okay? You cannot take soul and consciousness out of the mix, as science has tried to do over the last, I don't know, several centuries. Now it's coming back. We have quantum physics, which is enough to give a punch in the gut to anybody who takes a really good look at it. I wish I had the quote that there's one of the physicists says, anybody who isn't totally stunned and amazed by quantum physics hasn't understood it. And so it is. That is coming closer to blending consciousness with science, which for many centuries, that was the way of it. The two walk side by side, philosophy and science. The split is rather recent, so we need to get it back together. Anyway, too many words here. What I want to say is, if you're wanting out, I'm going to suggest two things to you, two sides of that coin. One is, that's going to keep you here. Anything we try to escape, all we do is maintain and sustain it. Anything we try to run from, it's inside of us. You can't run from yourself. And I have direct experience with that in this life, again and again. And so for myself, I know it to be a fact. So running is not a good option for you. Maybe you can sit down with it, make peace with it, and realize, write it down, what it is you really do want. And then set your intent to precipitate that here. We're coming back into our power, my friends. With 3 strands of DNA, it's unimaginable what can be done and how it can be done. I think a lot of it will be such as in dreams, especially if you're lucid dreaming, you can change the dream. You can do whatever it is you want. We'll have powers and abilities. See, we have them now. We've been creating this reality all along, just unknowingly. And so those who were running things behind the scenes were manipulating us into creating a negative reality. And we went right along with it by being glued to the tube, listening to the news. Oh my God, your day wasn't finished until you sat down and listened to the evening news. And it was all laced with all kinds of negative programming to keep us creating a negative environment. We had anxiety and fear introduced into our consciousness daily. And so that's the old. But we're shedding it now like a snake sheds its skin. And so we don't have to fight it. We just have to shed it like a snake skin. And so the effortlessness I was sharing in a recent journal, I think is a really good one. It's a sure sign that you're centered and that you're in the flow. There's a power that's accessed that way. It's like I say, does the sun have to push out the rays? That's crazy. It just is. I mean, it's effortless. It's just by the nature of being what happens. Suns shine. Okay? It's like that with us and with the power that's coming online for us. So I think that's the suggestion I want to make. Now let me see. All right, I'm not going to worry about the clock anymore. But this might be done anyway. I feel so awkward of late. I don't know myself anymore. The changes are coming so hot and so fast. And it's like I've been given some pieces to the puzzle, but I don't see at this point how they go together, what difference they make. I know that I'm changing. I feel the energies humming along in my body. There's more flow. That's a really good thing. I see synchronicities. Let me share a beautiful one with you. And it's a little bizarre, but it shows you the love of Source that we are all surrounded with 24/7, 365. I watched a video where a lady shared a tip, something she had discovered, and it has to do with peppermint oil. They had their air conditioning go out, and it was pretty miserable for them, and they were doing some work on the house. I forget what the deal was, but she found that if she sprayed or rubbed peppermint oil on their skin, she and her family, she said the first night when she did it, she actually had to have a blanket because she got cold. It's an amazing thing. And so I went over to luckyvitamin.com and I added a nice big jar of peppermint oil to my order. Rather that than the 1 or 2 ounce or half an ounce thing that cost you so much. I think it was like 32 ounces for $35 or something. I don't remember. It's not all that much. So within, I think it's like 36 hours, my air conditioner went out. Yeah. And the temps have been in the hundreds of degrees, well, over 100 degrees. And so, or 39, 40, up in there. And so that's a synchronicity that you can't deny. In all of my almost 60 years, to find that out within basically hours of having my own AC go out, it's not an accident. Nothing's an accident. Nothing at all is an accident. We just, with the 2 strands of DNA and the little bit of our mind and our brain capacity that we're working with here, what, 30% or less, we're not able to put it all together so that we can identify the synchronicities. But that's coming. And I can't think of anything that will help more to see them than to accept the fact that anything is possible and that everything that happens is for blessing and benefit, and that there are no accidents. When you accept beliefs like this, it changes your world from the inside out, and that's the only real way to make change. Work on your belief system. Okay, this is, if you look at people, look at the people that comment, you know, we expose ourselves every time we open our mouth. And anyone especially who's pointing a finger is totally exposing themselves. That's a projection. They are projecting their own stuff outside of themselves. There is literally, in higher dimensions, in higher consciousness, in source, there is no judgment. None whatsoever. Hitler is loved just as much as Jesus Christ. The sun shines on the just and the unjust alike. I guess maybe that's even biblical. You know, the sun doesn't look around and try to pick out the good guys and only shine on them. That's stupid. That's just not how it works. That's judgmental, dualistic, polarized, 3D. That's like 2011, folks. That's what we're leaving behind. And so it's a really good one to set your intent to give up and let go of judgment, of blame, of shame, of all of that stuff that goes with it. Eventually, you know, you start with the big stuff that can be seen, that's more grossly apparent. Eventually, you'll even find all criticism, which is a more subtle form of judgment, going away. Road rage will melt into oblivion. You'll be able to get under the temper and find the pain and heal it. It will be healed for you. Everything awaits a touch. It's our free will and choice that's required. There's assistance that will be rendered for us instantaneously once we open the door to it. But we've got free will here. This is our realm. And if we want help, we've got to invite it. And that even includes your own higher self. Somehow I don't know whether to say we've cut ourselves off from that or we've been cut off from it. It's like Nancy Dennison says, it's a good idea to just accept the reality that while we're here in 3D, we won't necessarily know why we're here. We just won't necessarily know all of these things. I think we're blessed just to know that, if you will, I mean, to put it in linear terms, just up ahead or around the corner, all of this is being restored to us. It's restored already. It's just a matter of watching that play out. And we can cooperate with this flow like the Hopi elders have told us. Push off from the shore. Get out into the flow and let the flow carry you. Don't fight it. This isn't a time to be fighting the flow. I think they're preaching effortlessness there. It's not a willy-nilly losing all sense of discretion and discernment. It's not that. That's the mind trying to figure out what the mind is incapable of wrapping its arms around, at least for the moment. Maybe the mind itself will get juiced by this DNA thing. I really do feel like we are all at genius level in the higher self. When we're on the other side, and you can see the example in the NDE experiences, When we're on the other side, we have access to universal knowledge. Any question that comes to us is immediately answered in full, often in such fullness that it won't compact itself and come with us back down into 3D. There are some things that are just higher dimensional, some understandings that we do understand, just not in 3D. And so rather than fight against that and kick and grumble and groan and be mad at God like I was, well, let's just start accessing the higher dimensional aspects of self. We do own all of that. But let's have some peace while we're at it, and not resisting, not fighting, being effortless. And so we'll find ourselves accepting a lot that right now we bitch and moan about, and we don't like and we don't approve of. Well, what is that? That's judgment. That's being judgmental. And so even if we can't yet see the whole picture of the perfection of it and how there is zero, not even 0.00001% judgment. It doesn't exist. Unconditional love is just that. There's not right and wrong. There's not good and bad. There's just is. And it's all joy. It's all good and various shades of good. And even though we don't yet have a tight grasp on that, full access to that, full understanding of it, we can take these bits and pieces like what I've been sharing here, my little bits and pieces with you, and come into such a measure of peace that will be totally healing. All we're responsible for is our now. That's it. And when we're torturing ourselves, if we would stop and look, chances are about 95% plus that we're not in our now. We're either in the past or in the future. We're not in our here, we're elsewhere. If we would go into heart, we can access all of that. We have all of those incarnations, if you will, just for the sake of communication, all of those incarnations stacked, one on top of the other. They're all equally accessible. You're equidistant from each and every one of them. So you don't have to feel limited by the astrology, by the chart that you have in this life. Maybe it has some really what look like negative or difficult aspects. You can say, so what? Look at all this other astrology I also have access to. We will get to the point where we can do this quantum jumping thing, and we can change the self, because all of that is just as much me as this. I have full access to it. This is not breaking any kind of laws or rules or anything else. This is just the way of being in higher dimensions. Okay? And so let's re-empower ourselves. In this lifetime, our society did what it could, or so it seems, to disempower us. Okay, that's an is. That's just how it's been. But be the snake, shed that skin, and then just walk away from it, Blow it a kiss on your way out the door. And you choose what the future's going to be. You are that powerful. And with every thought, we're creating the future. It's all of these people believing in these prophecies that bring them about. It's not that the prophet is so great. A lot of times, that's manipulation. That's probably the dark side, trying to make a bunch of negative stuff come about. Look at what we're being fed in the media. I will not go see violent movies or any of that kind of thing anymore, Once you pull yourself away from the media, if you can do it for 30 days, pull yourself completely 100% away from the media for 30 days. When you go back, you will be shocked and amazed. I will guarantee it. And there's no way, it's self-abuse. Only we got used to it. It's like being in the concentration camp. After a while, you adapt. It's hell, but you adapt. It's better than going crazy, right? Well, time to wake up. It's using free will and choice to decide what we want around us. The one belief I suggest everyone choose for themselves is that we are creators. I am a creator. With every word that comes out of my mouth, with every thought, with every attitude, with every feeling, I create. We all do. And so, with every beautiful thought, you create. Is that not awesomely empowering? And nobody can stop you. We can't be stopped. And it takes a very small percentage to turn this whole thing around. I believe we've already done it. I think it might even be 3 or 4%. It might even be less than that. I feel like we've already done it. And it's a matter of playing our part, getting into the flow, and with our choices going forward, constantly empowering that. Every morning and every night, and like when I upload a video, I have a little thing I say, and you might want to adopt it for yourself or do something like this. I am a sovereign being, exercising free will as I ascend the spiral of spirit. I intend that the higher purpose be served and that the light prevail. And thus we make this announcement, which basically warns off the bad guys and says, don't even bother. You're not welcome, and I'm not going along with any of your shenanigans. There are multifold and many ways that we're manipulated. And what's behind it, a huge part of the time, is getting us to surrender our free will, getting us to agree to something. So they'll do the bait and switch thing. But by cosmic law, if we have agreed, then even though they do the bait and switch thing, we've tied ourselves up. And so it's time to be alert and be in heart, because you can smell a rat. You can smell it out because it doesn't vibrate right. It doesn't feel right. Our feeling senses are carrying us up and out of the old skin. We have new senses, new ways of being, like this multidimensional aspect that we've been thinking that we were stuck with 3D, stuck in 3D. Bullshit! We're not. But because we believed it, we gave our assent. And so we kind of tied ourselves up in knots. And it's all so unnecessary. Suffering is unnecessary. It's a thing of the past. Sure, we'll still have pain and awkwardness and difficulty, but we won't suffer through it. It's different now. The weight and the burden is gone. As we process our fear, that's the very last toehold the darkness has on us, is our own fear. By adopting some of the beliefs that I've suggested here, your fears will naturally come up. As we adopt a new belief, all of the old beliefs that clash with it come up. And so you'll get a face full. That's not negative. That's wonderful. That's coming up so that you can clean house and just sweep it out and say thanks but no thanks. That used to be true. It's not anymore. Part of the old snakeskin. Out with you. Okay? We're rising up and above. Let's do it cheerfully. It's a choice. Good day. Hi. I know I've been absent from uploading videos for a few days. I don't know. I guess we'd all like to share when everything's going great and we're chipper and we don't feel kind of topsy-turvy. And so I'm getting over that. It is what it is. I am what I am. And when you're in 3D, things are variable. That's just the way of it. We've been under a constant solar, I don't know if you'd call it a solar storm, but a solar wind for quite a while. It's been consistent. Plus, we've had a number of CMEs, coronal mass ejections, so that would send like flashes of intense solar radiation. And well, that's what we are. And the time to start claiming it is now. Things are hard enough as it is, and it comforts me claiming what I see as the new reality. And it's, you know, it's kind of tough for some who aren't having this vision, who aren't seeing ahead, and who are thinking it's just pointless suffering, endless pointless suffering. And that is a legitimate perspective that people can take. It's just not something that's useful right now. We as the light beings are the ones that are actually helping to anchor and bring in the new. And so we fill ourselves with that, and we make an adequate anchor so that that light can flow from the heart of cosmos, from the heart of the galaxy, from the heart of our own higher self and source into, through, and around us to anchor the light and help support our brothers and sisters that are here with us. So you're all of those sun signs. At this point, that's something I've been wavering on, but at this point, I'm just confident that what's going on with the sun and its interaction with us and the earth is directly working on upgrading our DNA, upgrading our biology, so that we come out on the other end as human 2.0. I've been doing some work to visualize my DNA as three-stranded. And if you'll draw that out or take a look at it, you've got a central dot, and then from that dot you've got three rays that go out. Now that's as if you're looking at the DNA strand from the top, looking down, like instead of a ladder, the twisted ladder of the double helix. Now you've got like three, well, if you put sides on all of it, you'd have a tetrahedron, which is a three-sided pyramid. And so that will be the new geometry of our crystalline biology. Did you know, by the way, even now, without any changes to our biology, under very high magnification, our blood is crystalline? I don't know if it takes an electron microscope or what. I'm not real knowledgeable on the science end of things in this life. But it is crystalline even now. And remembering, of course, that the atom is all but not there. It's empty. 99+% emptiness is what goes to form the atom. So, and add that. Let's just stack it up. On top of that, let's take simultaneous time. So when somebody asks you, what's your sun sign? Well, you've got them all several times over from all of those lifetimes. You've got all of that to call on, and it's not like any of it was in the past or any of it will be in the future. It's all just now. And the 3D brain, mind, I don't know that it can wrap itself around that, but it doesn't matter because you're multidimensional. I'm multidimensional. Besides which, if you're interested in your astrology, I know that in a number of my journals lately, I've given you a link over to stariq.com. Now, they're certainly not the only place. They're just simple and they don't spam you, and they're just who I use. There are, I'm sure, many places. The thing is, you want to go after what I would call evolutionary astrology, not psychic type astrology, fortune telling type thing. There are good uses and bad uses of everything, absolutely everything. You know, give someone a human body for a lifetime. They'll make good uses of it and they'll make bad uses of it. So it's on us to discern and to select from among those who will support us, because we're getting our wings, figuratively speaking. We're raising up in consciousness, in biology, in every way. And it's good to have a support structure around us and not to keep dipping our toes into things that pull us down or into things that